All my paths were blocked. I had no choice but to enter a nearby house. As I stepped in, I saw an old man sweeping the yard. I was drenched in sweat, exhausted and desperate. There was a 2-meter wall behind him. I begged him, please let me go, but he didn't respond. I ran and tried to jump the wall but failed. I tried again. This time I made it. The moment I landed on the other side, the old man hit me on the head with a broom. I didn't care. I hit the grass hard, but I kept running. I could feel the thick grass brushing my back, like it was warning me the police would soon follow. I kept looking behind. Then I saw it, hands gripping the top of the wall. Soon, more police and local people arrived. They found me hiding in the grass. Every single one of them beat me. Slaps, punches, kicks, whatever they could do. They arrested me and threw me into the same jail I had escaped from. One by one, they caught all my friends too. Over 30 police officers came in. Every single one beat us without mercy. The next day, they chained us 2 by 2, locked our hands, and took us straight to the airport. Still in chains, we were flown to Batam, Indonesia. From Batam, we boarded a ferry to Tanjung Pinang, a small island surrounded by sea, a place where escape wasn't an option. I kept asking one of the police officers and handcuffed me. I said, I'm only 16, please, I feel terrible. I promise I won't run. My English wasn't good, but I tried my best. Surprisingly, one officer listened. He removed the chain from my hands and locked it on someone else instead. The place was packed, hundreds of people arriving and leaving by ferry. Some were coming from Tanjung Pinang, others were heading back. In all the noise and movement, I saw a chance. Even though the police were still watching me, I quietly slipped away. I managed to escape. But just a few minutes later, they used their radios to alert the gate. By the time I reached it, it was already locked. I had lost my chance. They caught me again. This time they didn't hit me. They just chained me up and took us back on the ferry to a large prison called Tanjung Pinang. It was, one of the scariest places I'd ever been. It was a multi-level jail with thick metal bars, extremely hot, dirty, packed with over 400 people from different countries. Everyone was, stressed and exhausted. They searched us and took everything, except our money. They put me in a room with 36 other Afghan men. The room was about 100 square meters. I stayed there for 1 whole year, locked inside with no chance to go outside. Can you believe it? Yes, 1 whole year. The food was terrible. For 3 months, I had nothing but fried potatoes for lunch and dinner. It made me feel sick and hopeless. There was no proper medical help, no activities, just one small TV that played Indonesian shows. None of us understood it. I was only 16. Everyone else in the room was older than me. No phones were allowed. If we wanted to speak to our families, we had to secretly bribe the guards. There was no way out. After 1 year, the UNHCR finally interviewed me. They agreed to release me and move me to Jakarta. But before that, I had to stay in Jakarta's Central Immigration Jail for 3 weeks. That place was worse than anything I'd seen before. It was small and overcrowded. No fan, no air conditioning. It was so hot that we couldn't sleep. Only around early morning, when it cooled down a little, we could finally rest. But then the immigration staff would start banging drums. Maybe it was part of a tradition, but it pushed us to the edge. I was nearly get crazy because of sleepless. Finally, they released me to Jakarta. For 5 months after my release, I waited for help from UNHCR. They had promised us that we would eventually be resettled in Australia. One day, we were called to a small meeting in Jakarta. A few of us were under 18 at the time. Someone from the Australian Parliament attended, I don't remember who it was, and they delivered heartbreaking news. They said, Unfortunately, Australia will no longer accept any asylum seekers under 18. Your cases won't be processed until you turn 18, and even then, no one knows what changes might come to our rules and policies. Right now, we cannot help you. That moment shattered our hope. We started to think, what if Australia never changes the rules? What if we're stuck here forever? Indonesia wasn't accepting us either. We had no rights there. It didn't feel like a country we could ever belong to. After facing so many hardships, I made a decision. I was going to risk everything. I would get on a boat and try to reach Australia, even if it meant risking my life. I had to find a smuggler. That wasn't easy. I wasn't even allowed to travel from one city to another in Indonesia. But I did it anyway, again and again, trying to arrange my way out. I got caught many times. I kept escaping, kept trying. I was tired. I was sick of living in fear. But I was also lucky and brave, and I knew I couldn't give up. Let me share one of the many memories from my escapes. One time, a friend I had met in jail and I decided to contact a smuggler. We both agreed to try and reach Australia. We understood the risk, almost a 99% chance of dying, but we had made our choice, freedom or death. We looked at each other and said, let's go for it. The smuggler arranged a taxi, and we traveled for around 6 hours from Jakarta to a coastal area. I can't remember the exact location, but it was a beautiful villa right by the beach. When we arrived, we saw over 100 people, mostly from Iran, Afghanistan, and Iraq, all waiting for their chance to leave. We stayed in the villa for one day. Even though we were there illegally, people were moving around freely. I sat outside and was approached by an Indonesian man, probably in his mid-40s. He started a conversation and asked where I was planning to go. I told him Australia. He looked very concerned and said, no way, you will drown. It's extremely dangerous. Please go back to Jakarta. He then showed me his ID. His name was Danu Ramahadi, and he worked for the Indonesian Navy. He warned me clearly. Very soon the police will come and arrest everyone here. I feel sorry for you. You're too young for this. Let me help you leave before it's too late. But I didn't listen. I thanked him and returned to the villa. About an hour later, just like he said, a large number of police arrived. My friend, a few others, and I escaped. From 1 in the afternoon until 11 at night, we were running and hiding deep in the jungle. The jungle was full of dangers. Wild animals, snakes, monkeys, and thick darkness. But we kept moving. We didn't give up. Around midnight, we found ourselves near a mosque where hundreds of people had gathered to pray. A few men were sitting outside on chairs. We approached them and asked for help. They replied in Indonesian, "Go away, the police are after you. The entire town knows. Leave before we get in trouble." I begged one of them and said, "Please help me. I'm a Muslim just like you. How can you turn away from your Muslim brother?" He paused and asked, "Are you really Muslim?" I said yes. He handed me a Quran and asked me to read from it. I did. He then asked me some questions about Islam, and I answered sincerely. Eventually, he believed me and decided to help. He told us to quietly follow him. We walked through the jungle again for about 15 minutes until we reached his house. But as we got closer, his neighbors came outside with sticks in their hands. Maybe they had heard scary things about us, or they were just afraid. To calm them down, I called an Indonesian girl I had met earlier in Bogor. She translated everything and explained that we were not dangerous. We also gave each neighbor around 50,000 rupiah to ease their fears. Finally, they agreed to leave us alone. The kind man brought us into his house and gave us shelter. We asked for water, and they gave it to us. Then they asked if we were hungry. We said, very much. Although they were poor, after about 10 minutes, they brought us some leftover rice. It was old, possibly a few days, and expired. but we were grateful. What happened next was even more intense. Stay tuned.